He was a voice of hope, a man who sang about love and preached about forgiveness. Pastor Elijah St. James. He wasn't famous, not yet. His music career was still a work in progress, a slow and steady climb. He had a small but dedicated following, people who connected with his soulful voice and the messages of faith woven into his songs. He was working hard, gigging at local venues, posting his music online, trying to get his name out there, to build his audience. He dreamed of reaching more people, of sharing his message of hope and redemption through his music. He seemed to have it all, or at least he was working tirelessly towards it. A growing ministry, a budding music career, and a deep belief in his own potential. Then Bree Miller was found dead. Valentine's Day. A day for romance. A day for love. A day when everything is supposed to be hearts and flowers. But for Bree, it was the day her life ended. Brutally. And the person everyone suspected? Elijah. The pastor. The singer. The man who was just starting to get some recognition. It's a story that makes you think, makes you wonder, makes you question everything. How could someone so seemingly holy do something so terrible? Who was the real Elijah St. James? Bree Miller was amazing. She was young, ambitious, and full of life. She was starting her own business, a little boutique, a dream she was working hard to achieve. She had style, she had drive, and she had a heart of gold. Her friends and family loved her. She was the kind of person who made everyone around her feel good. She had big plans, a bright future ahead of her. And then there was Elijah. They dated before a while back. It wasn't a whirlwind romance, more of a quiet, unassuming connection. They met at a local coffee shop, both drawn to the cozy atmosphere and the promise of caffeine. They talked for hours that first day, discovering shared interests and a similar sense of humor. Their relationship developed slowly, organically. They went on dates, shared meals, and spent time getting to know each other. Bree was drawn to Elijah's passion for his music and his faith. He seemed genuine, kind, and dedicated to his community. Elijah was attracted to Bree's energy, her drive, her infectious enthusiasm for life. He admired her ambition and her independent spirit. They seemed like a good match, at least for a while. But as time went on, cracks began to appear in the foundation of their relationship. Elijah, while outwardly charming and kind, could be intensely focused on his own goals, sometimes to the exclusion of Bree's needs. He was often preoccupied with his music, his ministry, his own aspirations. Bree, while supportive of his dreams, felt like she was often an afterthought. She wanted more attention, more connection, more of his time. There were arguments, small at first, then more frequent, more heated. The spark that had initially drawn them together began to fade. They drifted apart, their lives moving in different directions. Bree, focused on her business, on building her life, realized that Elijah wasn't the partner she needed. They broke up, no hard feelings, or so it seemed. It was a mutual decision, a quiet parting of ways. Or so everyone thought. Then Valentine's Day rolled around. Elijah reached out to Bree. He asked her out. A date, a chance to reconnect? Maybe he genuinely wanted to try again. Maybe he missed her. Or maybe it was something else entirely, something darker, something more obsessive. Some people think Bree felt pressured to go. You know how it is, everyone's supposed to have a date on Valentine's Day. It's like this unwritten rule. And if you don't, you feel like you're missing out, like you're not good enough. Especially for girls, there's always this pressure to be in a relationship. It's not fair, but it's how things are. So Bree went. Maybe she thought it would be fun. Maybe she thought it would be nice to catch up. Maybe she thought, why not? Maybe she even thought there was a chance things could be different this time. We don't know for sure. But it was the last time anyone saw her alive. Elijah was working hard to get noticed. He was active online, posting his music, his sermons, trying to connect with people. He had this way of connecting with people, of making them feel like he understood them. He talked about God, about faith, about love. He seemed so genuine, so caring. His online ministry was growing slowly but surely. People watched his sermons, listened to his music, and believed in him. He had this image, this persona of a good man, a man of God, a man who was on the rise. But some people who knew him a little better said he had another side. They said he could be intense, controlling, like he always had to be in charge. But nobody thought he was capable of this. The night Bree died, what happened? They went out. Just the two of them. What did they talk about? Did they laugh? Did they argue? We don't know. But we do know that Bree told Elijah she didn't want to be with him anymore. She was done. She'd moved on. Those words, those simple words, seemed to have been the trigger. Something snapped. Elijah got angry. Really angry. A kind of anger that led him to do something unspeakable. He killed her. It was brutal. It was violent. It was senseless. And then he ran. He's still out there. Hiding. Running from the police, running from his own conscience. So, the question everyone's asking is, why? Why would a pastor, a singer, a man who was just starting to get some recognition, do something so horrific? What happened that night? What kind of darkness can hide behind a smile, behind a song, behind a message of love? How can someone who sings about God commit such an act of evil? It's a question that's hard to answer. It's a question that makes you wonder about the nature of good and evil, about the masks people wear, about the secrets they keep hidden deep inside. It's a story that reminds us that things aren't always what they seem, that even the most trusted people can have a dark side, a side they keep hidden from the world. And it's a story that makes you think about Bree, about her life, her dreams, her future, all taken away in an instant. It makes you think about the pressure young women face, the pressure to be in a relationship, the pressure to be perfect, the pressure to be loved. It makes you think about the dangers of online personas, the way people can create a fake image of themselves, the way they can manipulate others. It's a story that's not just about a murder. It's about so much more. It's about love and loss, about trust and betrayal, about the darkness that can lurk in the human heart. And it's a story that will stay with you long after you've heard it. The police investigation wasn't exactly a whodunit. It was more of a how could he. It wasn't difficult for investigators to connect the dots. Everyone knew about the date. Social media was buzzing with it before Bree even went missing. The evidence quickly mounted against Elijah. But even with the mounting evidence, even with the clear motive, some people refused to believe it. They clung to the image of the man they thought they knew, the man who sang about love and preached about forgiveness. This denial, this unwavering loyalty in the face of damning evidence, speaks volumes about the power of carefully constructed online personas and the dangers of idealizing public figures. It reveals how easily we can be manipulated by those who present a carefully curated version of themselves to the world. The challenge wasn't just finding the killer. It was understanding the killer. Even with the police focused on apprehending Elijah, a different kind of investigation was happening online. Even after Bree's body was found, even with the news linking Elijah to her death, some of his followers defended him. They claimed she was trying to trap him, that she was a gold digger, that she got what she deserved. It was a disturbing display of misplaced loyalty, a testament to the power of online personas and the dangers of blind faith. It highlighted the challenges of investigating someone in the public eye, someone who had cultivated a devoted following, someone whose image was carefully curated and protected by his fans. This online defense, this rush to judgment without all the facts, underscores the importance of critical thinking in the digital age. It's a reminder that what we see online isn't always the truth, and that we shouldn't be so quick to jump to conclusions, especially when dealing with sensitive and tragic situations. It's a lesson in the dangers of echo chambers, where like-minded individuals reinforce each other's biases and create a distorted view of reality. The police investigation delved deeper, beyond the Valentine's Day date, beyond the online persona. They started looking into Elijah's past. Were there any other incidents? Any signs of aggression? Any hints of the darkness that now seem so apparent? It's vital to remember that we must be responsible in reporting these details. We're not here to spread rumors or sensationalize the story. We're here to understand, to learn, and hopefully to prevent future tragedies. The investigation into Elijah's past, while crucial, must be handled with care, respecting the privacy of those involved and avoiding any unsubstantiated claims. This part of the investigation is often the most difficult, as it requires digging into the complexities of human relationships and trying to piece together a narrative from fragmented memories and subjective experiences. It's a delicate process, requiring sensitivity and a commitment to uncovering the truth without causing further harm. They also started looking at his online behavior. Did his public posts reveal anything? Did he leave any clues in his lyrics, in his sermons, in the messages he shared with his followers? What about his private messages? Did he interact with people differently behind the scenes? Did his online behavior offer any clues to his state of mind? Any indications of the rage that ultimately led to Bree's death? Sometimes the truth hides in plain sight, buried beneath layers of carefully crafted online personas. Sometimes the digital footprint can reveal what the real person is like, offering glimpses of the thoughts, emotions, and motivations that drive their actions. It's a digital breadcrumb trail that investigators are increasingly using to unravel the mysteries behind criminal behavior. This aspect of the investigation highlights the increasingly important role of digital forensics in modern crime investigations. Bree's death devastated her family and her community. Her parents, her siblings, her friends, their lives were shattered. Her dreams, her aspirations, her future, all stolen from her. The pain was unimaginable, a gaping wound that may never fully heal. The ripple effect of such a tragedy extends far beyond the immediate family, impacting friends, colleagues, and the wider community. The loss of a young life, full of promise and potential, leaves a void that can never be filled. And the online world, it was a mix of shock, disbelief, and anger. People were horrified. They couldn't believe what had happened. They were angry at Elijah, angry at the injustice of it all, angry at the fact that such a vibrant life had been taken so brutally. The online reaction to such a tragedy can be a complex and often contradictory mix of emotions, ranging from grief and outrage to speculation and blame. It's a reflection of the interconnectedness of our world and the way news, both true and false, can spread rapidly through social media. The case also sparked a conversation about online culture. How easy it is to create a fake image online. How people can pretend to be someone they're not. How dangerous it can be to form parasocial relationships, where you feel like you know someone based on their online persona, but you really don't. It highlights the dangers of mistaking online personas for reality and the importance of remembering that what we see online is often just a carefully curated snapshot of someone's life, not the whole picture. It also reignited the conversation about the pressure young women face, especially around holidays like Valentine's Day. The pressure to be in a relationship, the pressure to be desirable, the pressure to conform to societal expectations. It's a pressure that can be overwhelming, and in some cases it can be dangerous. This pressure, this constant messaging that a woman's worth is tied to her relationship status, can have a profound impact on their self-esteem and their choices. It underscores the need for a shift in societal attitudes, a move away from judging women based on their relationship status and towards valuing them for their individual strengths and accomplishments. The initial shock that gripped the community after Bree's disappearance quickly morphed into a chilling dread. The whispers turned into shouts, the online speculation intensified, and the weight of the unspoken accusation hung heavy in the air. Elijah, the man who had sung about love and preached about forgiveness, had vanished. He left behind a trail of broken hearts, shattered trust, and a community struggling to reconcile the image of the man they knew with the horrific act he was suspected of committing. The manhunt for Elijah was relentless. Detectives pored over every detail of Bree's last day, meticulously reconstructing her movements, analyzing phone records, and interviewing anyone who might have seen or spoken to her. They canvassed the neighborhood where her body was found, searching for any trace of Elijah, any clue that could lead them to him. The search extended beyond their immediate jurisdiction, reaching out to neighboring states, alerting law enforcement agencies across the region. Flyers with Elijah's picture were plastered on bulletin boards, shared on social media, and broadcast on local news channels. The tension was thick, a suffocating blanket of fear and uncertainty. Days turned into weeks, and the hope of finding Bree alive dwindled with each passing hour. The only focus now was bringing her killer to justice. The pressure mounted on the police. The community demanded answers, Bree's family pleaded for closure, and the media scrutinized every move the investigators made. The online world was a cacophony of voices, some offering support, others spreading rumors and misinformation. The weight of the investigation was immense, the stakes impossibly high. Every lead, no matter how small, was pursued with unwavering determination. Tips poured in from across the state, some helpful, others leading down dead ends. The detectives worked tirelessly, fueled by a sense of duty and a burning desire to find Elijah and make him pay for what he had done. They knew that time was of the essence, that every moment Elijah remained free, he posed a danger to others. Then, finally, the news broke. Elijah had been apprehended. He was found in a small town in a neighboring state, hundreds of miles away from where Bree's body was discovered. He had tried to blend in, to start a new life, to escape the consequences of his actions. But his attempts to outrun his past, to outrun justice, were futile. The long arm of the law finally caught up with him. His capture brought a collective sigh of relief, a sense of closure for a community that had been living under a cloud of fear and uncertainty. But the relief was bittersweet, tinged with the profound sadness of Bree's death. The relief that he would be held accountable was tempered by the devastating realization that Bree was gone forever, that no amount of justice could bring her back. When Elijah was arrested, he was brought in for questioning. The detectives, seasoned professionals who had seen their share of darkness, were prepared for anything. But nothing could have prepared them for what Elijah said next. In a chillingly calm and collected manner, he confessed to killing Bree. But it wasn't the confession itself that sent shivers down their spines. It was his demeanor. He expressed no remorse, no regret for what he had done. He spoke about the murder with a chilling detachment, as if he were describing a mundane event, not the brutal taking of a young life. He coldly stated that he had no regrets about killing Bree, his voice flat, his eyes devoid of emotion. His words were like ice, a stark contrast to the passionate sermons he used to deliver, the heartfelt songs he used to sing. How could someone be so callous, so devoid of empathy? His lack of remorse only deepened the mystery of his motivations, making it even harder to understand the darkness that had consumed him. It was as if the man they had arrested was a completely different person from the man who had captivated audiences with his music and his message of love. The trial of Elijah St. James was a spectacle, a media circus that drew national attention. The courtroom was packed with reporters, Bree's family and friends, and members of the public, all eager to witness the unfolding of the drama. The evidence presented against Elijah was overwhelming. The prosecution laid out a compelling case, meticulously piecing together the events of that fateful Valentine's Day. They presented forensic evidence, witness testimony, and circumstantial evidence that painted a damning portrait of Elijah as a cold-blooded killer. The defense, tasked with an almost impossible job, tried to argue that Elijah had acted in self-defense, claiming that Bree had become aggressive and that he had feared for his life. But their arguments were weak, unconvincing, and ultimately unsuccessful. During the trial, Elijah's father took the stand. He was a broken man, his face etched with grief and disbelief. He spoke about his son, describing him as a good son, a kind and loving young man. He recounted stories of Elijah's childhood, his compassion for others, his dedication to his faith. He couldn't reconcile the son he knew, the son he loved, with the man who had committed such a horrific crime. Tears streamed down his face as he pleaded for his son's life, begging the jury for mercy. He attributed Elijah's actions to the influence of the devil, suggesting that some external force had taken control of his son, leading him astray. This defense, while understandable from a father desperate to save his son, raised complex questions about free will, responsibility, and the nature of evil. Can we truly blame the devil for human actions? Or are we ultimately responsible for the choices we make, even when those choices are driven by anger, jealousy, or other dark emotions? The trial was long and emotionally charged. The evidence was presented, the witnesses testified, and the jury deliberated for what seemed like an eternity. The tension in the courtroom was palpable, a thick, suffocating blanket of anticipation. Finally, the verdict came. The jury, after considering all the evidence, found Elijah St. James guilty of murder. The courtroom erupted. Some people cheered, others wept. Bree's family embraced, their faces a mixture of relief and sorrow. Justice had been served, but the pain remained. No sentence could bring Bree back. No punishment could erase the horror of what had happened. Elijah St. James was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Bree Miller. He would spend the rest of his days behind bars, a stark reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the human heart. In the end, this story is a tragedy. It's a story about a young woman whose life was cut short. It's a story about a man who hid his darkness behind a mask of goodness. It's a story about the dangers of deception, the fragility of trust, and the darkness that can lurk in the human heart. It's a story that reminds us to be vigilant, to be aware, to recognize the red flags in relationships, and to never underestimate the capacity for evil, even in those who seem to be the most righteous. It's a story that will stay with you long after you've heard it, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of darkness. If you found this video impactful, if you believe that Bree's story deserves to be heard, then please take a moment to do 3 simple things. First, subscribe to this channel. By subscribing, you'll be part of a community dedicated to exploring these complex issues, to understanding the dark side of human nature, and to working towards a safer future. Second, like this video. A simple like helps this video reach a wider audience, ensuring that Bree's story and the important lessons it teaches are shared with more people. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, share this video. Share it with your friends, your family, your social networks. Start a conversation. Discuss the themes explored in this video. The dangers of online personas, the pressure young women face, the importance of recognizing red flags in relationships. By sharing this story, you can help educate others, raise awareness, and potentially even save a life. Bree's story is a tragedy, but it doesn't have to be told in vain. By subscribing, liking, and sharing, you can help ensure that her story serves as a catalyst for change, a reminder that we must all be vigilant in the fight against violence, deception, and the darkness that can reside within us all. Thank you for listening.